introduce everyone to this transportation master plan for 90th South and 56 West. It's really not a master plan. It's more of a sub-area plan that is driven by a lot of development proposals from our development group. And big developments are coming in, and they all want the best access to their sites. And the purpose for this plan is to make those access points, whether they're traffic signals, right in, right out, driveways, or streets, that they're at the best location for spacing and moving traffic on 90th South and 56 West, which are very important arterials today and in the future. And the goal of this study that we commissioned with A-Trans Engineering is to help us in our future plan, our transportation master plan, so we can kind of incorporate that into the larger plan and adopt it in the future. So that larger master plan for the whole city is due in 2020. So this is like a pre-plan to get that plan to be more efficient by focusing on some difficult issues in the city. Primarily, one of the difficult places that the study looks at is the current connection where 90th South and New Bingham Highway diverge at about, is it 60th West, about 62 West, and to make that 90th South go all the way to 111 and still function well for the neighborhood to the north and the commercial development to the south. So I'm going to introduce Joe Perrin and let him explain his study. And did you give your info to there? So he's got some slides he'll show. And we've got a big copy of the striping plan for 90th South. If there's any questions that people can't see on the screens, we can also lay these out.
Thanks, Bill. I'm Joe Perrin with A-Trans Engineering. We did the access management plan for the 90th South, New Bingham, 56 West corridors. And the idea was basically to come up with a good access management plan so that as development moves forward, we aren't kind of reacting to it, we're planning ahead of time for it. And so that's essentially what this study did, is we took a look at ownership, parcels, where property lines were, et cetera, so that we could not only identify where appropriate access would be, but also make sure that they function properly. So we took a look at what based on the zoning, the amount of traffic that those parcels would generate, so that we knew whether or not we needed to add some signals or other intersection control options to the various locations. And essentially, this is what we ended up recommending, which is something that we suggest would be added to the master plan, because the master plan kind of takes a look more at the 30,000 foot view, and this is maybe more like a 10,000 foot view. So we're kind of focusing in on this area to come up with a recommendation on where the accesses are. That way, when development comes in, as Bill mentioned, you can kind of say, well, here's where we want to give you your access type of thing. And this is makes the most sense. The idea is also because ultimately 90th South, once it develops all the way to 111, is going to be dedicated over to UDOT. And so we had to work with the UDOT guidelines as well in developing this access management plan. Really, I'm kind of here more for questions, or how much time would you like me to take? Because I can go through each slide, each figure that we've done, and that really tells the story of that 40-page document, or I can just be available for questions. So. nothing that says it has to tie in exactly right there, because New Bingham could. I mean, it's a right-of-way issue essentially. So if we shifted this somehow, we try to keep as much spacing as we can between these two intersections, because if this is regional commercial, which is what it's zoned for, then we think it's going to need a traffic signal as well. But there's nothing that says we can't shift that somehow and maybe have a little road here where these Y in or something. And I hate to say what probably is most appropriate right there, but yes. Yes. Mhm. I think the key issue is going to be these two homes right here that we would want to talk to let them know that this is the plan. These residents, this is kind of what it was planned to be. It's just mainly that if you start getting driveways into the to turn lanes is I think where the concern would be. So the real question is if these two residents are happy about having a direct connection to the signal or not, basically, because like I think what your concern is these homes being blocked in potentially or something like that. Is that okay? Mhm. Right, and the option is, that that we can look at obviously is maybe this connects in and these don't connect, and like it is currently, and so they would have to go up to either 86th and the new crossing there, or they'd go back to 64th to connect. So I guess that would be my recommendation is let's talk to the homeowners and see what they how they feel. I mean, at least get input, but ultimately that was always planned to connect there as a collector street on the master plan. So we're kind of following what was planned anyway. Yeah. You'd prefer they back onto those, yeah. Right. Yeah, and I think probably just the neighborhood in general, you would say, hey, here's what's we're planning, thoughts, feedback. But typically, the only reason I said the two, which three is fine too, is this road is getting realigned. So essentially, when you tee into somebody, you do have the headlights going in. So that's why I say that second house probably is going to have some thoughts too. But it's just if we're changing the road, it's just courteous to talk to the residents, I think. So, yeah. New Bingham, and we're teeing that into 90th now, as opposed to it being the continuous route that it is now. And so that's really what the signal is. So, I mean, technically, you don't have to connect. It's just we try to connect roads at signals when we can to provide that traffic, because we're looking at 45,000 cars is projected out here when full development and we're kind of built out. And so you're not going to be able to really get out onto 90th if you're not at a signal during the peak times anyway. PDF and that go back to the first slide. So if you zoom out a little bit, what we have here is our recommended access locations. Some of them are existing, but some of them are proposed, and it's based on, we again took a look at the property, the parcel lines of where the development was, and then made recommendations of what type of access that they would have, whether it be a right in, right out, a three-quarter movement, or a full movement. So a three-quarter movement typically restricts either the left ingress or the left egress, and right in, right out is just that. We basically would be thinking about medians and some raised islands to restrict those. But this spacing provides adequate access so that traffic flows. Now, that doesn't mean, McDonald's comes in and they want 3 driveways or whatever. That's what we're trying to avoid here. So what we've done is come up with, this provides appropriate access. So we try to put it on property lines so that people play nice together and they can share in a driveway. And then we say where we are recommending controlled intersections of some type, because they're not going to be able to get out otherwise. They have more traffic than could be handled by just a stop sign type of thing. So this figure kind of identifies that, and this is again meant to kind of supplement the master plan in terms of updating an access agreement. So when developers come in, you basically say, here's where we're going to give you access, and it's going to be shared access with your neighbor. And then it's not negotiated like they tend to try to do. It's more like, no, we have a plan. This is where you get it, type of thing. If you go to the next slide. So these are exhibits in the executive summary 1 and 2. This one talks about the categories because, again, we're kind of trying to play by the same rule book as UDOT has in terms of categories of road, which gives the appropriate spacing. We kind of went further, instead of just having a generic 1,000-foot spacing or 500-foot spacing, to, again, because we specifically looked at the parcels, able to identify where we thought was the most appropriate locations. But this gives you kind of a category, which is tied to also an expected speed limit, because there probably will be some changes to speed limit as you have development, especially along New Bingham and some of those places. And then with 90th coming in, we would want to continue with what is appropriate for the speed limits out there. We don't necessarily think once you develop, you want 55-mile-an-hour roads out there. So that will tend to come down a little bit. And so these are all primarily arterials, so we are still thinking of 40, 45.
we've done, what we've seen, at least what I've seen in the commission a lot of times, is that we'll hear, yeah, the traffic study says that the road can bear it out, but we're not proactive enough to say, but this is where your exits and entrances and how the flow should work. And I like this idea that we're trying to be more proactive and saying, this is the way we want the transportation laid out, so that when somebody comes in, then we can say, make it work. And if you don't like the way we have the transportation access laid out, then maybe you're not the developer to build that piece of property, because because you're trying to stuff a square peg in a round hole. And so I like this concept. The only concern I have is that Duck Ridge Road intersection, and I think as long as we look at that and try to deal with the property owners and work something out there, I think we ought to be doing this on U-111, and maybe that's one of the next steps that we need to look at is U-111 and what do we want. I know it's a UDOT road, but we need to work with UDOT on what we want to have. That one ought to be next.
Commissioner Luthi.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Commissioner Green on this. I think my only feedback is that one intersection. And really, even if it could come off onto the Ballpark Road and have the other part be the not main intersection, but a tee-off road or whatever else, I think that would solve a lot of the problem. But I think we're in a good direction of being able to have the discussion with some neighbors, and I think it's great.
Any other discussion or motion?
Here, I'll do it.
Commissioner Green.
Am I reading the right one? Based on the information findings set forth in this staff report and evidence and explanations received today, I move that the Planning Commission forward a positive recommendation to the City Council for this study, with a note that the Duck Ridge intersection be looked at and neighbors contacted.
Commissioner Luthi.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Commissioner Green, a second by Commissioner Luthi. Any discussion to this motion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you for your work. Next item up is Synergy Dance Academy at Echo Ridge, 9433, 9463 South, and 6400 West. Conditional use permit for personal instruction service in an M1 zone. Synergy Dance Academy is the applicant. Go ahead and come on forward. You guys can give us the latest update.
It's good to see you guys again. We have some good news. We've got a lot picked out and we've got some plans drawn up. And we're here today to apply for a conditional use permit. The area that we're in is an M1 zone. It's right across from a residential area. And we think it would be a great place for a dance studio.
That was brief. Any questions? Any questions for the applicants? Okay, we'll invite you back up after the public hearing if there's anything we need you to address. That was easy for you guys today. Mr. Forsyth, on behalf of the city,
Yes.
please.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, so as Shannon explained, this is in an M1 zone, so just to provide a little bit of clarity, 6400 West essentially bisects two different zones. So you've got the R110 on the west side, and then you've got the M1 zone, which is a light industrial on the east side. So with this being a dance studio, it kind of offers a little bit of a middle ground in terms of some more of the heavy industrial uses that we tend to see in the M1 zones, and some of the lighter residential zones. So it should be, you feel that that's a decent transition there. So just to give a little bit of context of the surrounding developments, you've got Cisco distribution center to the east, and then you can't see it here on the map, but Davenport Foundation has just received approvals, and they're going to be breaking ground, if they haven't already, just to the north. So they're kind of an office warehouse, outdoor storage type of a use. And then we've also got Uinta Rock and Excavation, which is basically the same thing on the south. They are currently under approval, so they haven't received any approvals yet, but that kind of gives you an idea of what's going to happen there. So as far as vehicle access goes, it's a little difficult to see on the map here, but I was hoping to show how that would play into each of these different sites. And so these are going to use a shared access both on the north end and the south end. So on the north end, all of that access is going to be on the Davenport Foundation site. Synergy Dance Studio is just going to tie into that. Whereas the south site, Uinta Rock is currently working on that, so they're going to have to redesign their site a little bit. And our engineers have explained that to them, and we've explained that to Synergy. So we should be seeing something on that pretty soon. So it's the circulation on the site's pretty good. This just kind of gives you a diagram of how that's going to play out. So most of your two-way traffic is going right through the middle of the main parking lot, and then around the building, that's all going to be one-way directional, just because of the narrow spaces there. So that larger two-lane one-way driveway through the middle of the property, that's their main drop-off pickup point. So parents will be able to go in there, drop off their kids. That driveway is about 176 feet long, which has a stacking capacity of about 15 cars all at once. So we feel that's pretty good to accommodate their needs, and hopefully that'll help alleviate some of the traffic there. So as far as the parking goes, they're required to have one space for every 200 feet of gross floor area. The building has 16,000 square feet, which requires 80 spaces. And the site plan currently shows exactly that at 80 spaces. So there's 60, more specifically, there's 68 normal spaces, and then 12 spaces that are parallel parking spaces around the perimeter of the building. The pedestrian access is pretty good as well. It doesn't really show up very well on this slide. It showed up better on my computer, but they're required to have a 6-foot wide sidewalk connecting the main sidewalk to the main entrance, and they've shown that on the site plan, just going through the middle of the property there. So in terms of lighting, they're proposing 4 light poles in the parking lot with several wall-mounted lighting around the building. This just kind of gives you a general idea. And again, the yellow's not showing up nearly as well as I wanted it to, but oh, can you see it? Okay, well that's good. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how that's going to be lighted, and kind of brings the photometric plan into perspective. So, other than that, the architecture is looking pretty good. The materials they'll be using is tilt-up concrete, which is pretty similar to what you see in the Prosperity Road area. A lot of the high-end tech buildings use those, and so this will kind of bring that more over towards the Echo Ridge point. So it should be a good blend. And then this is the landscaping plan, just to give you kind of an idea of how that lays out. So with that information and the information explained in the staff report, staff recommends approval of the Synergy Dance Academy at Echo Ridge with the conditions of approval listed in the staff report.
Excellent. Before I open it up real quick, I've got one quick question. If you can go back 2 slides to the elevations. That one right there. On that east elevation, and I had this thought as you showed the first slide too, there's nothing between these development and the Dan and Yogurt building, right? It's just empty land. Is there ever,
Correct.
or Cisco, I mean, is there
Yeah,
gonna be
Cisco
anything?
is in between.
Is there
Dan
gonna
and
be
them.
anything that's in that gap between there? I'm just wondering because this is a pretty blank wall on the back here that we might need to have some conversation about
Yeah.
breaking it up a little bit.
No, that entire vacant field there is all owned by Cisco, so it would be future expansion.
So there's
on their
probably
part.
not a real need to,
No, in fact, the code.
does this meet the minimum requirement for, you know, the breaking
Yeah,
up of the?
so I'll explain on
elevation.
that east elevation, so that you see I guess it's a purple column right in the middle. So that is placed right in the middle to meet those minimum 100-foot spacing requirements, so.
Since there's never gonna be anything in between them, we're not worried about what it really looks like too much.
Right, and there's
Okay.
not really anything specific that we can require there.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Commissioner Green?
Will you go to the landscape plan? My question. What,
You're at a bad angle on that.
mine must be at a really bad angle. My question is the lot to the south, where that says for future expansion, or future building, what are we going, is that going to be landscaped? Is it going to be, I'll use the term natural vegetation, so that means we have, right there. Does that mean we have weeds? Are we gonna put gravel?
Yeah, generally for future development, we don't require landscaping there. But when that does develop, they will need to make sure they're meeting the overall requirements. The current landscaping plan should meet that even with that building addition, so they've actually accounted for that.
I'm just,
Oh. Basically, it's just gonna be dirt, as far as we know.
I'm just worried that it's gonna look ugly, but okay. But if it's dirt, I guess people could park in there if they ran out of parking, so.
Commissioner Luthi?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm really excited about this, and I think it's beautiful. Great job on that. I have two questions. One, is there going to be, since this is a pretty main thoroughfare on 64th, is there gonna be on-street parking allowed on 64th? Is that,
Yeah, the traffic engineers looked at that, and he's recommended they put no parking signs along the
okay, so
frontage.
nobody will be dropping off or parking necessarily on 64th. It will all be contained on-site.
Correct. yeah.
Okay. What?
So that's a restricted bike lane. There's
Okay.
no room for parking.
Perfect. It's all, that was my one question. My second question is, it looks like the drop-off arrows are going the opposite way of what you'd want them to go. Is there a reason that they're headed that way? Typically, when you're at like a school drop-off or whatever else, you want the passenger side to be the side that opens up on where you're dropping everybody off, and this is reverse. Was it just done accidentally? Can it be flipped? Okay, I would encourage you to flip it. It's gonna be much better. That's it for me.
I would point out too that a lot of their traffic is probably gonna come off of New Bingham Highway, so from the north. So I don't know if that plays a factor, but, okay.
Interesting.
So
Any other-
Nicole, your concern was getting the kids as close to the front of the building as, so they don't have to cross in front of traffic.
Right, yeah, it's the opposite of the way any drop-off lane would normally be
Yeah.
designed. You'd flip the arrows so that you come in, so that the passenger side, the side that the kids would exit, is near the building. So I would suggest you flip all of them. And it's not gonna be any difference other than the arrow goes the other way, but
Any other questions for staff? That was really loud. Okay, again, this is noticed as a public hearing, so we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing and allow anybody who wants to come forward and speak on this item to do so at this time. Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring this back to the planning commission for further discussion. Commissioner Luthi.
well, it doesn't sound like anyone wants to say anything, so I'll make a motion
We're a little quiet tonight.
Based on the information and findings set forth in the staff report and upon evidence and explanations received today, I move that the Planning Commission approve the conditional use permit for Synergy Dance at Echo Ridge located on 9443 and 9463 South, 6400 West, in an M1 zone with the conditions of approval listed on page 2 of this report and the recommendation of flipping the arrows so that the drop-off lane is different.
So,
Commissioner England.
I was just gonna ask, do you wanna make that just a fifth condition? Is that what you're saying?
Can it be a condition or does it just need to be a recommendation, Larry?
I don't think it needs to be a condition, Mark can
Recommendation
pass
seems
it,
good
yeah.
to me.
Okay.
I would just second that. I'm excited. This is great.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Luthi and a second by Commissioner England. Any further discussion to this motion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. We're one step closer.
It's gonna be great.
We're excited for you guys. Thank you.
One building instead of three, huh?
All right, our last item is Highlands Landing. This is the northeast corner of 7800 South, 5600 West to amend the future land use map for 0.4 acres from community commercial to very high density residential and rezone from SC2 zone to an R322 SHO multifamily zone with a senior housing overlay. Peterson Development is the applicant with Justin Peterson. You don't look like Justin, but you are welcome to come forward and speak on his behalf and let us know who you are just before we can get that for the record, please.
Yes, I'm Kaylin Nichols. I'm representing Peterson Development tonight, 225 South, 200 East Salt Lake City. That was a mouthful. It's pretty simple. We received our rezone approval on this overall site in 2017, and we've since then moved forward and have a subdivision plat in place. And so tonight we're just asking for approval of moving the boundaries of it slightly to match the plat. It follows the center line of the road of the plat. And so we're just trying to do our homework and make sure it matches, and so it's up to date in the city's zoning code and in the general land use map, so.
Great, that was easier than what I had to say. Any questions for the applicant?
Pretty clear.
All right, if there's
Okay.
any need, we'll bring you back up after the
Okay.
open, or the public hearing.
Perfect.
Public comment section. Mr. McCandless.
There we go. Again, this is a housekeeping item. I think the legal description is going to be a little more accurate on the legal description for this is going to be more accurate than what's on the subdivision plat. So we just wanted to make sure that the subdivision plat, the future land use map, and the zoning map all fit together. So that's really what this request is.
Any questions for staff? Commissioner Green.
I just have to ask, since we're shifting the boundary slightly and it changes the size of the, I'm assuming what it does is it changes the size of the senior housing overlay. Does it actually change the size of the senior housing overlay at all?
It's not going to be much. I mean,
So-
there's some give and take on the south side and then
So
on the west side.
what I just want to be clear, so that we have it out, is that by changing this zoning, it's not going to allow any more apartments or any more units on the land. This is just an adjustment, correct?
Right.
Any additional questions? Okay, this is our final public hearing, so we'll go ahead and open up the microphone for a public hearing. If there's anybody that would like to comment on this item, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring this back to the Planning Commission for further discussion or a motion. Commissioner England.
No, I'm third on there.
Commissioner Thomas, I didn't see how it came out. Yours is the first one
Was
I
it a
saw.
tie?
All right, I'm gonna choose. Commissioner Thomas, you have the floor, sir.
I'll make the motion. I move the planning commission forward the positive recommendation to the city council to amend the future land map for 0.4 acres from community commercial to very high density residential and rezone the property from SC2 community commercial to R322 multifamily residential 22 units per acre, maximum density, senior housing overlay, zone on property located at the northeast corner of 7800 South and 5600 West.
Did you do that one, Brad?
Commissioner England, did you want to second that?
I was gonna second that.
All right. We have a motion from Commissioner Thomas, a second by Commissioner England. Any discussion to this motion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That's it for our agenda tonight. We are adjourned.
Hope you guys learned something for your class. If you didn't, come talk to us after.